and you'll have 10 seconds to answer each one over the course of 3 rounds. But we'll also give you a few seconds to do some flirting if you're into it. You can swipe right to see who's still playing nearby, and swipe left to see who else has been eliminated from the game, because we are playing live, and I fail to see the point of playing a game on Scruff if you can't cruise like a little bit while you play, right? We're all like a little bit horny tonight. That's why we're all here, yeah? Me too, same. That's why you can only see me from the waist up. Feel free to woof and fave to make a connection for after the game. If you get all 10 questions right and make it past all 3 rounds, you'll have lasted longer than Sarah Huckabee Sanders spent avoiding press briefings. And you'll walk away with some sweet cash. So get ready. This is round 1. And here is question number 1. What is Ellen DeGeneres? A television personality, a pet neutering nonprofit, or a Latin adjective? That's the dead language, not Latino. The correct answer, though, is a television personality. That's right, not what, but whom. Ellen DeGeneres came out on her sitcom titled Ellen, in which her character, named Ellen, talks to a therapist played by Oprah Winfrey. That sitcom was followed up by another sitcom called The Ellen Show, in which Ellen plays another character named Ellen, but not the same Ellen as before. And now Ellen hosts The Ellen DeGeneres Show, which is a talk show where she plays a version of herself named Ellen that enjoys talking to YouTube stars. Honestly, I aspire for my entire resume to list TV shows that are only named after me. That's a brand. That's an icon. That's Ellen. All right, great. So with that, let's move on to question number 2. That was just, an appetizer, an aperitif. All right, question number 2, which is not an example of a prophylactic. Is it PrEP, Abercrombie & Fitch's Fierce, or a condom? The correct answer is Abercrombie & Fitch's Fierce. It's so wrong, that's the only time it'll ever be right. To clarify, a prophylactic is something intended to prevent the spread of infection or disease. So condoms are an example of a prophylactic, right? As are vaccines or medicines like Truvada taken as PrEP. Abercrombie's special Pride fragrance, called Fierce and featuring a set of chiseled white abs on the bottle, is not a prophylactic. But if it smells like an Abercrombie store, it's probably got a whiff of racist hiring practices with undertones of homophobia. A scent that is sure to help you avoid getting laid. So in that way, it might function, right? You should know that a portion of these fragrance sales will go to the Trevor Project, because nothing says we're sorry for being the preferred clothing store of the rich boys that called you faggot in high school, like sharing the sales of cologne with queer youth, right? That's reparations. I feel great about that. So congratulations to the 1,878 of you who are left in the game. I'm taking all of you with me, and we're moving on to question number 3. In season 2 of Big Little Lies, what hobby of Renata's husband, Gordon, is revealed? Is it home kombucha brewing, model trains, or painting? God, these are all painfully straight. The correct answer, though, is model trains, the painfully straightest of all. A close observer of the show will notice Laura Dern's character is married to a rich man baby who spends a lot of time in a room full of model trains. Undoubtedly a straight man. But if you've been too busy watching Meryl Streep wrap a crucifix around her face while wearing false teeth to notice the trains, I can't blame you. The gay eye is drawn to excellence. And no one cares about the men on the show. Let's be real. Push them all down the stairs. That's what I want at the end of this season. Except for Adam Scott, who I've wanted to dick me down since he was on Party Down, right? I hope you all watch that. Well, I've just overshared, so you know what that means. It's the end of round 1. Let's see how we've done. It looks like 1,045 of you made it onto the next round, while about 4,000 of you don't give a fuck about model trains. And I can't blame you. My takeaways from Big Little Lies so far are that those white kids are very mouthy with their parents. And Shailene Woodley has far too much time to spend dancing on the beach for being a single working mom. I need more realism. All right, but if you found out you are not in the game, you weren't the only one eliminated. There were quite a few of you last round. Don't sweat it. But do give a little swipe left to see who else might be around with some free time on their hands. Or feel free to swipe right to see who's still in the game and might be willing to sprinkle some seed money your way for an investment in future growth. I don't know a lot about finance, but I went for it, okay? And it sounded right. Anyway, we're about to move on to the next round, and today there is a theme for round 2. We're calling round 2 RBGTQ. Which sounds like a straight person came up with it, but that was my idea. And that title is in honor of our favorite Supreme Court Justice, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, because this next round is all about Supreme Court cases. And I know that's not like the sexiest theme, right? But some of these cases are the reason you can have sex without getting arrested, right? So that's great. Open those ears like a poppered butthole, because here's the deal. June 26th is a very special day for LGBTQ rights because 4 different Supreme Court cases were decided on this day throughout the years, and they helped legalize different aspects of our community or the ways we express queer love. I didn't actually know this myself, though, but I do have one gay friend who is a lawyer. He makes a lot of money and is very popular on Scruff. I'm not giving you his username because I'm deeply jealous. But inspired by his suggestion for this next round, we will be asking one question for each of the 4 Supreme Court cases between 2003 and 2015 that impacted our community. So let's move on to round 2. Here's question number 4. The Supreme Court decision in Lawrence v. Texas struck down a law criminalizing what? Was it drag queens in libraries, gay adoption, or sodomy? The correct answer is sodomy, one of my favorite words. Sodomy is what God-fearing straight people say to refer to good old-fashioned butt sex. You know what I mean? Anal coitus, posterior penetration, a pastime as American as baseball, or jerking your friend off at a baseball game. Could you imagine if the Supreme Court had let the sodomy ban stand, though? We might never have gotten that episode of Broad City where Abby pegged someone. I might not have gotten an anal fissure in college. Cis straight men would be even less comfortable acknowledging they have a prostate. That's an even darker timeline than the one we're currently living in. I'm very thankful for this decision. All right, congratulations to the 736 of you who are still in the game and got that right. With that, let's move on to question number 5. In 2013's U.S. v. Windsor, which of the following Supreme Court justices issued a dissenting opinion? Was it Elena Kagan, Samuel Alito Jr., or Stephen Breyer? The correct answer is Samuel A. Alito Jr. So here's the deal, here's the story on this case. Edie Windsor was married in Toronto. She fled to Canada to do gay things, as many of us do. And while her home state of New York acknowledged her marriage, the federal government didn't, until the U.S. v. Windsor case struck down the provision in the Defense of Marriage Act limiting spousal benefits to heterosexual marriages, which we all know are joyless and unworthy of any benefits. But whatever, that's one man's opinion. In his dissenting opinion alongside Samuel Alito, crusty and deceased Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia wrote, "As far as this court is concerned, no one should be fooled. It's just a matter of listening and waiting for the other shoe to drop," warning that the decision would open the door to challenging same-sex marriage bans across the country. And I don't say this often regarding Antonin Scalia, but bitch, you were right! You were right, bitch! The case opened up cases everywhere else that support a gay marriage. I hope your homophobic ass is tossing in your grave, sweaty. You were right! Ugh. All right. That's the only white man I'm going to say is right this game. Okay, so with that, we're moving on to question number 6. Hollingsworth v. Perry allowed same-sex marriages to resume in which state? Is it California, Massachusetts, or Puerto Rico? The correct answer is California. Puerto Rico is not a state, and if you knew that, it could have helped you narrow down your options, right? But you didn't, which is maybe where you got that wrong. Despite sounding like a wealthy and fashionable British twink from the late 1800s, Hollingsworth v. Perry is actually a Supreme Court case, and not the firstborn male in his family who's forced to marry a woman to earn his inheritance and keep the family name alive, right?